So continuing with the previous video, yeah, 1688 Glorious Revolution refers to the overthrowing of Catholic uh, oriented prince who was in line for monarchy and replacing him with William of Orange from Netherlands who became monarch. And with that, he was effectively come under control of Parliament. It was it was a bloodless revolution, very peaceful transition of power, but nonetheless, it made Parliament. The importance of this event is it made Parliament all the more powerful, and you could see that George Orwell and other people who use this the power of Parliament, and yeah, the point was it increased the power of Parliament and control of Parliament over monarchy. And the next important thing which happened in the 19th century was the Green Revolution. What? Sorry, not Green Revolution. Sorry, my bad. It's the Industrial Revolution. What the Industrial Revolution did actually mm, is it created a new class of people. Uh, when we say new class of people, we are referring to entrepreneurs, business people who are now um, are more powerful. It shifted the power from aristocracy to business people. Now you have the Industrial Revolution brought in a new class of people who are entrepreneurs, like and next thing you see is they wielded more power, and it also created a new class called the middle class. And this mm, new middle class uh, followed the same procedure. They wanted to have a more say and more power. You know, they wanted more free trade, and this also has some contribution to colonialism. You see, industrial revolution created more demand for more resources. In UK had colonies. And then the next thing you see is this business people wanted those free trade, moving of goods. So essentially, they wanted to have those decision making control through parliament. So then you see that the industrial revolution basically created shifted the power from aristocracy to these middle class entrepreneurs, and they also included lawyers, doctors. So they started to have more power or more say in the parliament. So you see, these are the uh, brief political history of UK and how the nation formation and democracy started to take shape. But I would now like to see more. I would like to discuss more of post-war history of UK and how the things have started to develop in the post war. Post World War UK is one of um, collectivism. You can say collectivism. So after Second World War, you have two superpowers, US and USSR, emerging after the Second World War, and UK was kind of set into back, uh, kind of step back, and it started to look inwards. And you could also see that 1990s 1950s are also the age when it started to lose some of its colonies, starting with uh, one of its main colony, India, which got independent in 1947. So that triggered a kind of independence movement across various colonies in Asia and Africa, and kind of, you know, Britain or UK started to lose its colony and along with it some of its power. Mm. And it started looking inwards. And you also see the Winston Churchill, who was considered war hero, and the next thing you see, he was defeated in the election. People of the UK said, "Yes, you are a good war prime minister, but um, thank you. War is over. We want peace." And sorry, he was defeated in the next election. So we see for the first time in British history, we have a Labour Party coming into power. So what does that mean? So Labour Party is uh, as ideology which has left-leaning, and it is for expansion of the role of government. It stood for welfare state, public education, public funds. So you see, all these things started to implement in UK under the idea of collectivism. So, uh, 1950s to 70, I don't say the entire 20 years, but most of these years were ruled by uh, British Labour Party, which had the left-leaning, which is for more role for the government, which is for the welfare state, invested heavily in public funds, public education. So that period is marked by collectivism. Then came the with the 1979 to 1997, you have who is popularly referred as Iron Lady of Britain is Margaret Thatcher. She brings in this enterprise culture into UK. So what does that refer to? Enterprise culture is for this started implementing the idea of, you know, this is not working, so let's the collectivism or government role is not working, so she started to bring in like she was a strong conservative in ideology, and she started to bring in tax cut, reduced welfare. She's for promoting business, and she also sold the non-performing public entities and also privatized the ones which are not uh, performing well. And some of the privatization included like train services. And the next thing where you see, um, you see the economy improving. But at the same time, the people who didn't have unemployment suffered because there was no public funds, there's no public welfare state concept. So there is that thing also going on side by side. So there is this. So that's the enterprise culture which Thatcher, then its follower John Major, who became prime minister after her, propagated this culture of enterprise culture. Then you have in 1997, um, there is a new way, third way, like which was started by Tony Blair, and they called it as New Labour. Um, they thought, okay, let us do let's not go completely into government, let's not be on the other hand fully free, let's follow a middle path, the third path. They rejected the classic associations and unions, and they are and partnership with business without abandoning welfare. So they're kind of a blend of both the collectivism and enterprise culture. So they went in like some kind of partnership with business, but without at the same time without abandoning the concept of welfare state. So they kind of control till they this idea was in rule in UK from 1997 to 2010. The next thing we see, um, 2010 to now, we have again back to conservatives under the Theresa May. Then you see the Brexit, and she's dealing with this. What future holds for Britain is still not sure. They are going through the process of Brexit, and that's basically what the political history of UK we are talking about. It would be interesting to see how she goes about the Brexit. And I wanted to show this as a, you know, mm, I saw this quote in where you see this Ronald Reagan, who is depicting. By the way, this is a original poster of Gone with the Wind movie, a classic movie. I'm not sure how many of you have seen. It's really in the 60s, 70s movie, I guess, way before we are all born. But it's a classic movie. So where Ronald Reagan is played by Clark Gable, and in the arms of Vivian, she's saying she's falling to the end of the world and he will organize it for her. But actually, this is a misnomer, or it's a wrong depiction. It should be the other way. Actually, it's the Margaret Thatcher who propagated the free entrepreneur culture and free trade. So let me reiterate about this picture. Actually, this poster came as in to depict that Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher are the ones who introduced the concept of enterprise culture and privatization, which was totally wrong. In reality, it's the Margaret Thatcher, being a prime minister of a country, who initially initiated those thoughts than Ronald Reagan was governor of California at that time. So actually, this picture is a wrong depiction in that sense. It's not Reagan who is supporting the Thatcher, but it's the vice versa. It's the other way. It's the Thatcher who initially started those ideas, and then Reagan just picked it up. So I just wanted to bring you that notion and just how those ideas came about. So that's been the UK history. And regarding Sweden, if you see the Sweden, it's 15th century. It's the creation of Riksdag after they threw out the Danish conquerors. So that's where the Sweden's. And by 1600, you had four estates like nobility, clergy, bourgeoisie, and farmers. They formed the four estate. There is a little bit more explanation which I'll continue in the next video and wrap up Sweden.